Welcome back to our channel, your premier destination for the most in-depth and exclusive updates from the dramatic world of Beyond the Gates. Today is a beautiful day to dive into the latest twists, betrayals, and heartbreaks that are shaking the very foundations of our favorite city. Grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let us unpack the explosive drama unfolding this week. The intricate web of relationships, power struggles, and deeply buried secrets at the hospital has reached an unprecedented boiling point, leaving no character unscathed by the ensuing collateral damage. At the very center of this brewing storm is the incredibly complex and increasingly toxic dynamic involving Bill, Danny, and Haley. In a move that has sent shockwaves through their immediate circle, Bill has proactively reached out to Danny, explicitly requesting her assistance in handling a highly sensitive and profoundly important professional matter. However, this is not merely a request for a colleague's expertise. It is a deeply personal overture. Bill has made it abundantly clear that he wants Danny to stand by his side at an upcoming, highly exclusive private event. The gravity of this request cannot be overstated, as Bill looked Danny in the eye and confessed that he wanted her to be the absolute first person to know about a monumental decision he is about to make regarding his future. This deliberate choice by Bill to pull Danny into his inner sanctum speaks volumes about his current state of mind and his shifting loyalties. He is actively carving out a uniquely special role for Danny, not just in his professional endeavors, but in the very fabric of his personal life and his ultimate decision-making process. Naturally, this burgeoning closeness has not gone unnoticed, and it has ignited a fiery, uncontainable rage within Haley. For Haley, watching Bill willingly bypass her to confide in Danny is not just a professional slight, it is a humiliating personal betrayal. Haley's discomfort has rapidly mutated into a seething, vindictive jealousy. She perceives Danny not just as an interloper, but as a direct threat to the carefully constructed influence she has wielded over Bill. The psychological warfare has begun, and Haley is not one to simply step aside and allow another woman to usurp her hard-won position of power. Meanwhile, a completely different yet equally intense battle is being waged behind the scenes as a dedicated alliance forms to protect Bill from the shadows that surround him. Chelsea, Kat, Naomi, and Jacob have solidified their ranks, creating an impenetrable core group with a singular, desperate mission to stand by each other, fiercely protect Bill, and uncover the undeniable evidence needed to expose Haley's true, malicious nature. This formidable quartet is working tirelessly around the clock, desperately searching for the best possible medical treatment for Bill while simultaneously acting as amateur sleuths. Naomi and Jacob have taken on the exhausting role of physical guardians, maintaining a constant, vigilant presence at Bill's side, meticulously monitoring every fluctuation in his fragile health, and ensuring that no unwanted visitors, especially Haley, can manipulate him in his weakened state. While Naomi and Jacob hold the fort, Chelsea has been instrumental in gathering crucial background intelligence on Haley, leveraging information she previously extracted from Caroline to paint a disturbing picture of Haley's past. However, it is Kat who has taken the most perilous path, plunging headfirst into a clandestine investigation of Haley's meticulously crafted lies. Operating in the dead of night, sifting through old records, schedules, and testimonies, Kat's relentless digging has finally yielded a terrifying breakthrough. She has uncovered a glaring, undeniable discrepancy in Haley's timeline, a piece of evidence that directly contradicts a sworn statement Haley had previously made. This discovery was not a moment of triumph for Kat, but rather a chilling realization that sent shivers down her spine, confirming that Haley is capable of profound, calculated deception. Tragically, in her quest for the truth, Kat has unwittingly stepped directly into the crosshairs of a ruthless predator. Haley is far from oblivious. She is a master manipulator who has been silently, meticulously tracking Kat's every single move. The hunter has become the hunted, and the silent war between these two women has officially commenced. Kat is walking a razor-thin tightrope, and if she fails to fully comprehend the sheer magnitude of Haley's dangerous capabilities, she may end up paying a devastating, irreversible price for her curiosity. The tension is palpable, as every glance and every hushed conversation in the hospital corridors feels like a potential trap set by Haley to eliminate the threat Kat poses. The fallout from Bill's incapacitation extends far beyond his hospital bed, bleeding directly into the corporate boardroom where a vicious power struggle has erupted between Tomas and Naomi. The vacuum of leadership left by Bill's inability to fulfill his duties has transformed the once professional office environment into a toxic battleground. Tomas and Naomi, both fiercely ambitious and deeply stressed, have become increasingly irritable, engaging in explosive shouting matches that echo through the administrative wing. They are no longer just colleagues trying to keep the hospital running. They are combatants vying for absolute dominance, each desperately trying to prove that they possess the ultimate capability and authority to permanently replace Bill if the situation demands it. Naomi's exhaustion from guarding Bill only fuels her short temper, while Tomas aggressively capitalizes on every moment of weakness, turning their daily interactions into a relentless game of corporate chess where neither is willing to concede an inch of territory. In another corner of the hospital's interwoven community, a deeply personal crisis of trust is tearing Joey and Vernon apart. Joey, who has always possessed a troubling tendency to avoid confrontation and isolate himself when the pressure mounts, is currently harboring a massive, volatile secret. He is stubbornly attempting to handle this mysterious problem entirely on his own, utilizing questionable methods and shutting out everyone who cares about him. This evasive behavior has triggered massive alarm bells for Vernon, who is rightfully terrified that Joey's misguided attempts at self-reliance will inevitably cause the situation to spiral completely out of control. Vernon's intervention, however, is far from a gentle offering of support. He tracks Joey down not to offer a shoulder to cry on, but to corner him, aggressively demanding a full explanation and attempting to force Joey into complying with his strict directives. Joey is intensely irritated and deeply resentful of what he perceives as Vernon's suffocating interference and unwarranted pressure. He feels his boundaries are being violently trampled. Conversely, Vernon operates under the steadfast belief that Joey has fundamentally forfeited his right to autonomy and self-determination because his reckless, secretive actions possess the potential to inflict severe collateral damage on innocent bystanders. This bitter conflict is rooted in a profound, tragic loss of mutual trust. Joey is desperately clinging to his dangerous secret, while Vernon is equally desperate to seize control of the narrative and neutralize the threat before it culminates in an unmitigated disaster that could ruin multiple lives. The romantic landscape of the hospital staff is equally fraught with heartbreaking complications, perfectly exemplified by the shifting dynamics between Nicole, Carlton, and Kiel. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed the stars had finally aligned for Kiel. When Carlton gracefully decided to step back and withdraw from the intense competition for Nicole's affections, the door was thrown wide open for Kiel to finally establish the deep, meaningful connection he had always desired with her. However, the unforgiving, unpredictable nature of their medical careers has violently disrupted their budding romance. In a cruel twist of fate, Nicole is assigned to a grueling business trip alongside Carlton, traveling to a remote, underfunded hospital in a rural community. Simultaneously, Kial is dispatched on a highly demanding assignment for work and advanced study at a massive, bustling medical center in a completely different, distant city. This sudden, immense geographic distance acts as a wedge, relentlessly driving Kial and Nicole apart. The lack of physical proximity and the overwhelming demands of their respective environments make communication strained and infrequent. Meanwhile, the rural hospital setting works its own quiet magic on Nicole and Carlton. Stripped of the distractions of the city, working shoulder to shoulder in high stakes, intimate, and often isolating conditions, the invisible barrier between them begins to dissolve. The shared exhaustion, the quiet cups of coffee in dimly lit break rooms, and the reliance on one another for professional survival slowly but surely draw Carlton closer to Nicole, reigniting a spark that Kial is utterly powerless to extinguish from hundreds of miles away. Amidst all this chaos, the hospital's resident confidant, Ted, is buckling under the weight of his own unresolved family and romantic tribulations. Yet, he is afforded no time to heal as Andre desperately seeks him out. Andre is not merely looking for a casual sounding board or friendly advice. He is a man drowning in absolute terror. The secret Andre is carrying is so explosive, so fundamentally destructive, that he is paralyzed by the fear of the massive, catastrophic fallout that will undoubtedly occur if the truth is ever brought to light. Ted is forced to compartmentalize his own agonizing personal issues to manage Andre's escalating panic, creating a dynamic where two deeply broken men are trying to navigate a minefield in the dark. At the exact same time, Danny is wandering through her own existential fog, overwhelmed by Bill's sudden, intense reliance on her and the heavy expectations being placed upon her shoulders. Danny is desperately searching for an impartial mentor, someone who can cut through the noise and help her clearly identify what she truly desires for her own life, independent of Bill's grand designs and Haley's venomous glare. Finally, the younger generation is facing a profound, life-altering crossroads that threatens to shatter a beautiful romance. Jessica and Tyrell are standing on the precipice of adulthood, and the pressure is threatening to break them. Jessica, a brilliant and ambitious student, had long considered attending the prestigious UCLA, but in a surprising pivot, she has formally submitted her application to Banneker. Tyrell, on the other hand, is forging his own distinct, separate path driven by his unique aspirations. This divergence in their future trajectories has placed an unbearable, suffocating pressure on their relationship. Every conversation is laced with the unspoken fear of impending separation. Enter Samantha, who has firmly aligned herself with Jessica, but flatly refuses to coddle the young woman. Samantha is delivering a masterclass in tough love. She adamantly insists that Jessica must view this situation with absolute, unwavering objectivity. Samantha's primary goal is to ensure that Jessica does not allow fleeting emotions, guilt, or the paralyzing fear of the future to dictate her choices, especially if those choices might inadvertently lead to stringing Tyrell along and causing him deeper, unnecessary pain. Samantha is meticulously guiding Jessica to recognize and shoulder the heavy burden of responsibility that comes with making adult decisions. On the other side of this impending heartbreak, Martin and Smitty have formed a protective brotherhood around Tyrell. They recognize the dark cloud of sorrow descending upon their friend and are doing everything in their power to pull him out of his emotional tailspin, offering distraction, loyalty, and a safe space to grieve the potential loss of his first great love. All of these moving parts are meticulously setting the stage for what promises to be an agonizingly raw, profoundly important, and potentially final conversation between Tyrell and Jessica, a moment of truth that will irrevocably alter the course of both their lives.